In the Quran, Pharaoh, he calls his court, he says, "O chiefs, I do not know you to have any gods besides me." Now this doesn't mean that he was rejecting polytheism, but rather this was an expression of his arrogance, the fact that he considered him to be the God above all other gods, to whom unique devotion should be given. The Quran says, "The chiefs among the people of Pharaoh said, 'Will you leave Moses and his people to cause corruption in the land and abandon you and your gods?'" So the Quran acknowledges that they worshipped other gods as well. And Pharaoh gathered his people, فَحَشَرَ فَنَدَى فَقَالَ أَنَّ رَبَّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. And he said, I am your Lord, the Most High. So the Quran indicates, and the Bible doesn't say this anywhere, explicitly at least, the Quran indicates that Pharaoh considered himself a god worthy of his people's worship. And this is also another detail that's found in the Quran, very much emphasized in the Quranic narrative, but not in the biblical narrative. Though I've heard that the rabbis were aware of the Pharaoh claiming divinity, but this is something that is very much emphasized in the Quran. T.P. Silverman writes, "By the early New Kingdom, deification of the living king had become an established practice, and the living king could himself be worshipped and supplicated for aid as a god." Two steles, 410 and 1079 of the Hildesheim Museum, each describe Ramses II as Ramses Meriamun, the god. The papyrus Anastasi II praises Ramses as god, herald, vizier, and mayor. And the great temple at Abu Simbel, as we've seen, was built by Ramses II to honor himself, and the entrance of the temple is flanked by 4 colossal statues of Ramses II, which dwarf the statue of the god Re-Horakhti, that's the god inscribed there, located above it. I think this is one of those 2 steles mentioned on this slide, in which Ramses II is depicted as giving an offering to himself as a god. This is like, subhanAllah, he's actually offering a sacrifice to himself as a god, a deity. Finally, in the Quran, the preservation of Pharaoh's body, the Quran has a very unique statement, and you may very well have heard about this before, but now you know some of the Egyptological background to it, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَالْيَوْمَ نُنَجِّيكَ بِبَدَنِكَ لِتَكُونَ لِمَنْ خَلْفَكَ آيَةً وَإِنَّ كَثِيرًا مِنَ النَّاسِ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا لَغَافِلُونَ. Today we will save you in your body, so that you may be a sign for those who come after you, liman khalfaka. Indeed, many people are heedless of our signs. And the body of Ramses II, whom, as we said, it seems like he has to be the pharaoh of the Quran. He's the only pharaoh who reigned during adulthood long enough to fit the Quranic profile of the pharaoh. The body of Ramses II was in fact discovered in 1881 in a cache of 40 mummies, which priests had concealed there in 1000 BC because of a problem with grave robbers. Nothing was known about these mummies in the intervening period of almost 3,000 years. Now, I think people, they knew about the existence of mummies. For example, the biblical account mentions that Joseph's body was taken as a mummy. At his request, the Israelites brought it back into the land of Israel. But the particular mummies of these pharaohs were not known. And it's significant that the Quran never makes a similar statement about any other destroyed peoples, that they have been preserved in their bodies, but rather it only states that their abandoned buildings, ruins, or news have been made signs for later generations. And so the classical Mufassirun, they were, of course, this ayah posed a problem for them because they didn't have the body of Pharaoh. So they said that this was simply for, it was preserved as a sign for the Israelites. The Israelites had seen the body of Pharaoh cast ashore. But it's interesting that the Quran uses very, very open terms, liman khalfaka, for whoever comes after you. And since its discovery, Ramses II's mummy has been seen by people from everywhere. It is currently one of the major tourist attractions in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. So now today we can say that indeed the pharaoh's body is preserved, and it remains as a sign for those who came after Pharaoh even into our era. And here's Ramses II. His body is pretty well preserved for man who's over 3,000 years old,